We were heading home back to Beirut, and we heard the drone strike. So we have changed our direction, and we're heading now to check out what has happened. Hey everybody, this is Laith Marouf from Free Palestine TV. We are at the edge of Tayr Harfa village in South Lebanon, very close to the border of occupied Palestine. This is the first time we come here. You can hear some drones flying right now, and you can see in the distance right there 2 Israeli bases on top of the hills and the Mediterranean Sea right there under us. We're going to go into the village. There hasn't been any international journalists in it since the beginning of the war. There was an attack yesterday on the village, and we're going to check it out. We're in the square in the center of Tayr Harfa. As you can see behind me is the mosque and the Husseiniye, the seminary for the Shia sect, totally destroyed. The water tank for the village hit. As we drove through the village from one side to another, we didn't see one structure that wasn't damaged or totally destroyed. And as we can hear right now, there's a drone hovering. We don't know what kind of drone, but it seems to be a bigger drone than usual. There was attacks yesterday. We're going to try to find where the attacks were, but they happened on the mobile homes brought in by the Wata'awanu organization that's trying to help residents in the south resettle their villages by bringing these mobile homes. But, you know, this is every village that we visit that's right on the border. It's very painful to see. This is very similar, obviously, to what we saw in Gaza and what we're starting to see in the West Bank right now. On that note, today the Israeli military announced that it's destroying a huge chunk of Nur Shams refugee camp outside Tulkarem city in the north of the West Bank. They ordered the evacuation of a quarter of the refugee camp. Oh my Lord. So this is going to be similar images that we will see in Nur Shams. Wow. I don't know how we're going to get into the mosque. Clearly the entrance has been destroyed completely there. There hasn't been any international journalists that entered Tayr Harfa since the beginning of the war. That shows you how close it is on the border, how much I can hear some shooting and or a helicopter blades. Yeah, every entrance to the mosque has been destroyed. There's no way for us to go in. Yeah, it's a ghost town. There's nobody. Not even the Lebanese military was a few kilometers away from the entrance of the village. It's definitely those 2 Israeli bases have straight direct line into the village, so we're kind of right now protected by this rubble. They can't see us. Wow. That's the school in the village, again also targeted and destroyed. So the Lebanese army martyr المعاون أول أيمن رحال. This is the city hall of Tayr Harfa. This is one of the mobile homes that were brought in by وتعاونوا, 2 of them that were targeted yesterday by an Israeli drone. Must have been a very big explosion for the actual frame of the container to explode in such ways. There's a few other of these containers beside the Husseiniya, but we couldn't get to them because the road is destroyed up to there. Yeah, you can see the drone. He's making it stand behind the sun, so we can't really see it. But you can hear the sound of it. So I guess, Hadi,
Yes.
our lovely neighbors
They are not lovely, and they are not neighbors. They are settlers and colonial leftovers who came to our land to colonize it. And because we have families and lands to return to, we need to try to not get ourselves killed. This FPV might be carrying
a small
grenades,
bomb, Grenade.
like usual, and also it's a frustration for me to see that these FPVs are still getting inside Lebanon. These are small FPVs. You could usually shoot it with a gun, the gun that you use to shoot birds. The hunting gun can down one of those. Now, I don't know what's... that's a hawk versus an FPV. Do you see the two of them? This one is a hawk and the other one is an FPV. Let's hope that the hawk will attack it.
Yeah, he's a patriotic.
He's definitely noticing that this is an unusual bird inside, inside his own territory or skies. That's an FPV.
Yeah, here it is. You can see it. And definitely the the hawk is still fighting with it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Usually
this is an Arabian hawk, or you could call it a Syrian hawk. But definitely they are some of the most territorial birds.
Okay. Yesterday, we can continue, by the way, while driving. Let's go.
Yeah, maybe the viewers will be as worried as you are.
I'm not
for our lives.
I'm doing my job, basically, but it's not, obviously, there is nobody here. It's a ghost town.
Yeah.
I was shocked, actually. I didn't know that there was literally nobody.
Yeah, I was expecting at least some military, or at least some residents.
It's coming back. It's coming back. And we'll be leaving.
Yeah.
But I will keep looking at it.
I think it's very low and it's gonna come from behind the houses.
Yeah. It's going back now. It's returning.
It's right on top of us, no?
Yeah. It's going.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay. Let's go.
It's going back to the base.
Let's go.
We just left Tayr Harfa. There was massive destruction. There's not one house that isn't damaged or leveled to the ground. It clearly was a big battle for a long time for the Israelis to be able to take it, and they didn't enter until the ceasefire was declared.
Yes, when they reached Shama, that we reached now after driving, they reached it by going around Tayr Harfa and not getting inside Tayr Harfa to reach Shama. So when they said that Shama that the Israelis were now in Shama, they weren't occupying the villages that are before Shama. They just, you have seen the valley, they crossed the valley and they took another road that is around Tayr Harfa and they reached Shama. And they wanted to go until we have seen the traces of the Merkava tanks and the roads. They wanted to continue until they reach al-Bayyada, which is a hill that overlooks Tayr. And as we discussed with Ali Jazzini 2 days ago, if they took al-Bayyada, they could target Tayr by artillery. Now, they could target Tayr by aircrafts, and they were doing it
and from the sea.
So what does this have as an importance, as an added value? First, it has a psychological value for the fighters. And because the communication during the war was not in its best situations, if a fighter was hiding and he started hearing the sound of the artillery when it's going, when they are firing it, not when it's landing, this has a major psychological effect on the fighters. And of course on anyone who knows that this is the sound of artillery, this means that the Israelis are now very near. They could claim that we are right now on the outskirts of Tayr. So this is what they wanted to do, but they weren't able because the fighters resisted and stopped them at Shama.
There was a convoy of Merkava tanks that targeted right there.
Yes, they targeted, they destroyed at least 3 Merkava tanks there. The people could see the Merkava tanks burning, or what of course it was from a long distance, but they could see that vehicles, armored vehicles for the Israeli invaders are burning. And this had also counter or a reverse psychological effect. People were more relieved by the fact that the resistance is still, after the pagers attacks, after the talkie-walkies attacks, after the massive strikes that destroyed, according to the Israelis, Hezbollah's capabilities, most of it. They were relieved to see that their sons, their brothers, their fathers, that those resistance fighters are still able to confront the Israeli army and stop it from invading, and later on forcing these Israeli invaders to retreat and withdraw from this area. And if the Lebanese government did its job by making sure that the agreement, the ceasefire agreement, is kept from both sides, and let's say the sponsor, the international sponsors of this ceasefire agreement did their job, the Israelis shouldn't have destroyed all Tayr Harfa like we have seen, and shouldn't have destroyed all Shama, and shouldn't have done all this destruction that is aiming only to destroy the border villages in South Lebanon and destroy the hope of the people to return to their villages. They want to punish the people. This is what they are doing. There were no military capabilities left in those villages after the ceasefire agreement, and Hezbollah retreated and took all of the capabilities and because you can think of it like if you had some missiles or some weapons and you want to withdraw, you take these weapons with you. You don't leave it for the Israelis to take it and to claim victory by showing these war trophies to their people, for example. So the Israelis destroyed these places on purpose. They kept destroying and going inside these places and destroying it only to terrorize people and to make them lose hope to return to their villages and their land.
There was attacks yesterday on other parts of Lebanon. One of those attacks was very close to the border with Syria in the Ghannam mountain range.
Yeah, nine strikes, 9 massive airstrikes targeted Janta and the outskirts of Janta, which is called al-Hara, and these places, these regions are rural areas in the Beqa, in the central Beqa, and they are just on the borders with Syria. The Israelis usually target these places. They claim that Hezbollah used these places to transfer weapons and used these places to transfer weapons or to hide weapons, because this is a very mountainous area and it has it's very good for hiding weapons or hiding.
There's a lot of
forces.
valleys and caves and so forth.
We have been there like maybe 6 to 7 months ago, maybe.
Yeah, during the war.
During the war.
But we didn't film there because
we
of the
can't
security
film
concerns.
there because it's better not to film there. If the Israelis want to have fresh footage from that area, let them do their job. We don't need to do it for them.
Yeah.
Look, Israeli tanks did this. Do you see the road? This place was one of this village was one of the villages that got damaged after the ceasefire a lot. They entered it and they crossed it many times searching for weapons, but basically they ended up destroying the whole village. And anyone with 400 grams of brain in his head will know that there is no way that the resistance have used the entire village to hide weapons. So if we want to accept what they are claiming, that Hezbollah is using some of these places to hide weapons, well, what we have seen today is 0% places survived this war. It's not good.
Yeah, we stopped for a minute to film out there, and the Israeli drone followed us back again. So clearly they have sent it out to monitor us.
Now the good thing about FPV drones is if you drove a bit fast, it's efficient to avoid their bombs because they use gravity, it's not guided or something.
Yes.
Yeah, but they can always send the orders to the bigger drone and it can do the job, can finish the job.
Yes.
Now, beside sharing this regular daily emotional experience that you have as a journalist in South Lebanon, and we are, by the way, we have press signs on our car for anyone who's asking. But among all our visits to South Lebanon, it's the first time I notice how much the border villages have suffered from systematic destruction one by one. Like usually you used to, for example, you had Kfar Kela destroyed, Dermimes intact, Khiyam destroyed, right?
Marjayun.
So Marjayun intact. Usually you don't find this line of destruction. Now we have been driving for half an hour, and not a single place that was. Now we are starting to see some of the
And
places.
this is just because it's beside the UN
Yes, and this is
base.
yeah.
Somehow these houses beside it got unsafe. There was the first stage of municipal elections in Lebanon yesterday, and the country will continue having these municipal elections till the end of the month. But the first stage was the greater area of Beirut and part of Mount Lebanon.
Correct.
So it was, a big question was how will Hezbollah perform in the Laith, southern suburb of Beirut, and how will its allies in the Christian areas will fare in comparison to the collaborationist Kataib and Quwat parties. So tell us what happened in al-Laith.
What happened was that Hezbollah did not lose any place in the election, any seat. The representatives and the local representatives of in the municipality and what we call here the al-Mukhtar, or the one who does some things related to the families in each community. It's like a head of community.
The registrar.
Yeah,
almost.
the registrar. This proved the fact that Hezbollah did not lose any seat, that people's choices in Lebanon are not affected by the amount of destruction that the Israelis try to impose on these people and try to influence their political views by destroying their houses, their homes.
So in the Laith, it was clear that the newly minted Shia imperialists failed miserably.
Correct.
And
this is the correct description. They failed miserably.
And on the other hand,
Maybe their wives did not vote for them.
yes, it's just their wives and their lovers. But but we also had elections in areas that are Christian, contested between the patriotic
movement.
exactly, of former President Aoun, and the two collaborationist Christian parties, the Kataib and the Quwat.
We're trying not to make you spill coffee.
Spill coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hadi has a habit of spilling coffee on me whenever we're driving.
You.
Yeah, it's
coffee on
okay.
yourself.
It's okay.
Yes.
It's always the driver's fault.
Okay.
So we were saying, the Kataib, Lebanese Zionist forces, were expecting to win and demolish the patriotic movement.
This is what they were saying.
That's what they were saying, and truthfully, what ended up happening is that there was not much change in the holding of municipalities and their municipal councils.
And we are still months away from the war, and less than 3 to 4 months away from electing the U.S. number one president and also prime minister. And the rumor that or the prophecy that they are using, that the country Lebanon entered the American era.
Yeah.
You have seen all these ads on your Facebook and Twitter and everywhere, and on YouTube especially. You have this very stupid. I don't know who was making them.
The Israelis are paying for them, for sure.
But they could have been a lot more like creative.
Yes.
You know, they
Yes.
having one of the ads. They're having the president as a DJ and all the Lebanese people dancing, for example.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. I don't know if you're getting these ads.
I'm getting them, but obviously people in the West
Yeah,
don't get
of
these
course.
ads on their YouTube. The
Anyway.
last two constituencies that we can talk about is one, the Druze constituency, and obviously all the what's happening in Syria in terms of massacres of the Druze were affecting, or that's what the Zionists were hoping, that it will affect the results of the municipal elections and would limit the power of the Socialist Party with Jamal Jumblat. So we also here didn't see much of a change.
In Lebanon, it's hard to see any change in the Druze community. Very hard. They tried this before in the elections, in the parliamentary elections, and they were able to, let's say, to do a penetration in the lists of Jumblat by Mark Daw. He was going or running in the elections on behalf of the change powers. So basically they are the NGOs backed by USAID and Soros organizations. And
you know, I did debate Mark Daw myself before, during the collapse of the economy before the war started. And I couldn't believe that I was debating someone who was running for elections in Lebanon, being not Lebanese, and scoring so many points on the guy on Lebanese issues. So it shows you how limited the options are for the Zionists and the imperialists. The only ones that will work with them are people that are self-hating and nobody likes or have given them anyways a platform before. So they're totally dependent on the platform and the buzzwords that the master in the White House or in Tel Aviv gives them, which is not something that is, can affect the streets here in Lebanon. Even with all the decades of propaganda, it's still not effective because it is so detached from reality of the people on the ground.
The municipal elections is not as political as the parliamentary election. So you can think that people might do some choices that are not political. For example, let me tell you something. For me, myself, in my village in Tayr, I'm not thinking politically now in this election when I'm choosing who is going to be the local mayor of Tayr and who is going to be the Mukhtar, the registrar, because they have different jobs. So for example, if I know that someone really fits the job, I don't care what's his political affiliation. Of course, they are all pro-resistance.
As long as he brings services to the village.
But still, Hezbollah won the election in all of the places that its candidates were running. No one could take any seat from Hezbollah. And as I said, this shows that these people, the people of the resistance in Lebanon, they know their choices. They know why they are taking these choices, and they know that sacrifices can be given in this path of resistance, but still sacrifices will not make us or make anyone change their political position or their principles in being someone who cannot accept to be occupied, cannot accept to be humiliated, cannot accept to live as a US proxy, a colonial vessel or serviceman or whatever you want, slave. So that was very disappointing for the people who are against the resistance, and we hope that this will continue in the other elections, in the other municipal elections in other places like South Lebanon, Beqa, and North Lebanon, and also the central Beirut. And by this, I think that if the results now showed that Hezbollah did not lose its people and the allegiance of its people, its base, its popular base, this will mean that these guys won't be very optimistic regarding the parliamentary election 2 or maximum 3 years ago. I think it's 2 years ago.
Today.
2 or 3 years from now. I think it's 2 years from now. So, and they are right now betting on this, on the parliamentary election from now. And if these results showed no failure for Hezbollah in terms of losing its popularity, I think this will make a shift in the politics in Lebanon, and I think that the political position of Hezbollah in Lebanon will regain its power again. And I don't know to which extent the Israelis might be accepting this, because they want to destroy Hezbollah, and because they are very greedy, they won't even accept that Hezbollah ceasefire and stop its operations. They want to continue until they think that they can make Hezbollah maybe disappear from Lebanon. They think this and they wish this. It's like they want to do with Hamas in Gaza, but it's very hard to do it. And I think this election will show the Israelis that they should be thinking of other plans in terms of dealing with Hezbollah.
We were heading home back to Beirut, and we heard a drone strike. So we have changed our direction, and we're heading now to check out what has happened. So we made it to Kafar Roman. There was a pickup that was targeted by a drone. It got hit right here. And as you can see, there is a garage here with cars that were parked that got hit. And right now they have removed the car and they put out the fire. There's at least 2 martyrs we know from the location, and more injured. Alhamdulillah, there's no other martyrs. This was our quick excursion into Kafar Roman because we heard the explosion by the drone attack. We will continue trying to bring the stories from the field to our viewers. This is Hadi Hotait and Laith Marouf from Free Palestine TV. Press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you are watching this on, and go to our website, freepalestine.video, to donate so we can continue bringing you these reports. Until we see you next time, we bid you all a free Palestine.